All right, everybody, we're doing a little special tailings test. So we've got this Infinity Prospecting's Devon Gold VDR matting, running everything through a 3-inch down into the 6-inch, 2 separate pumps running. It's kind of just overcomplicated. Ideally, I'd have a 6-inch going into a 6-inch, going to a 6-inch, but it just works out. I have all of the parts and pieces to make this work, and it was capturing like really good gold. So all of the tailings from a full 5-day trip, I've gotten some buckets behind here. I've taken all the gold out, and I'm gonna see, is there anything worth keeping in the tub, or in the future can I just get rid of everything? So I'm gonna fill this up with water, fire it up, do one final round. I'm gonna feed it quick, and we're gonna see, is there enough gold there to justify doing this final run? So I filled the tub up with some fresh, clear water. All of this and all of that is the total amount of what's already been run, tailings, that I have to deal with. I have a 12-volt bilge pump that is going to be running off of this guy right here, just using the Jackery power bank, which is so convenient, down to 68%. We started at 80%, so it really hardly uses anything. We're burning about 20 watts, and this is just idling away a little bit. And then on this end, I've actually got a 120 volt, plug it into the wall, a pond pump. 2,400 liters per hour, it said. And it's just a little bit too much flow. So I've got it valved down. There's actually a valve on the pump itself, but I'm just using that valve over there. So you've got this guy flowing over here, and then this adds a little water for there. And you know, all zigzags. It was working great. We ran all the material through, and now I'm basically just going to, I might turn the water up just a touch, and I'm going to run all of the tailings and see what we get. Jet dry and sunlight in the water, keep any floating gold at bay. So let's put that first scoop in, and with any luck, we don't see a whole bunch of gold. Now, one thing just before I do this, if we look in this sluice, you'll see there's gold in it, right? Like it sticks to this stuff. I actually need to take a paintbrush and like brush it all off. So if there's a little bit like that, we can ignore it. I would say so far so good on the not being loaded with gold. I think I'm actually going to increase the water flow and then continue. All right, we've got a little more flow. I'm not spooning it in, we're like actually troweling it in. Now, if I am arguably overfeeding it in you know, dumps like that, it's going to kind of clear out throughout this entire feeding sluice, and by the time it gets to this, the primary like 6-inch sluice, it should be good to go. And as you can see, we're not overloading anything just yet. I really like how quickly this stuff seems to run. My old cleanup sluice is actually sitting at the bottom here, and I used to use this with a variety of different mats, and it would capture really good gold, but I had a sort of feed sluice. It was just a trough with a trickle of water, and it would take, like, I would take maybe 3 big spoons of this or 4 spoons of this, put it in that trough, and then I would come back 20 minutes or half an hour later to refill that trough. And this would be like a 4-hour process for a very small amount. So the amount I have here would have taken all day to feed. Whereas right now, I'm able to actually spoon feed it in, and this stuff just seems to eat it up, which is a fantastic improvement. And the amount of concentrates I get at the end of the day is definitely quite small. I still don't know how this works in the field as far as turning it on and off and sort of real world kind of stuff, but it would be cool if I could replace some of the moss in my hive anchor with this stuff. I would definitely be coming home with a lot less concentrates, but I need to properly test that before I, you know, fully commit to switching over. Let's have a look for some gold. Oh yeah, so we were losing some gold, like even from this to that, even with feeding it a little bit slower. We are losing some gold through this type of matting. However, I don't think that isn't like a this mat's bad. Any mat would have lost gold. If you see how much gold we got, I don't know exactly what the number is, but I'm tempted to say we are over an ounce from this trip. Now, a lot of you guys are probably thinking, Kyle, where's that video? I've got some chores to do. I've got a fence to build. We did really well out there gold mining, but I got to get some other stuff done before I can just head right back out to the river. I'm hoping I can get in at least another trip before the end of July, which is like, I've just got a lot of stuff planned, but we will have a full video of that trip. You're going to see how the high banker runs. You're going to see this entire cleanup. We're going to weigh out what's in the hopper versus what's in that little capture tray underneath the screen, which I've decided to nickname Gold Fingers because it's got these little fingers of miner's moss. Gold Finger. We're lovingly naming these little fingers of miner's moss that are cut around the diverters Gold Fingers. And Gold Fingers looks like almost solid gold there. That is unreal. And of course the primary trays. Everything worked amazing. It was really cool to test out. So there's a ton of really good video content coming your way. But this is kind of just a way for me to cushion my editing skills a little and allow me to come up with some time before I can put that together. So I'll get this run through and we'll see what the tailings of everything that you're going to see in the upcoming video actually gives us. Look at that. Already some specks in there. So this is really, really rich ground that we were running the first time through. The black sand is like the main bed load of this sluice, and so I could run it faster if I had less black sand. But what's interesting, I've just run that entire tub, which is about 2/3 full, and then this tub is probably 3/4 full when I started, and I've only pulled this small amount of black sand out. And this is a very powerful magnet. It's this is a neodymium magnet, like those super magnets, and it's a big one. It's actually kind of cool. Check this out. I've got this, just turn on the light switch here. Actually found that light switch, the cover by the side of the river. So this is aluminum, non-magnetic. Like it's not magnetic, but when I hold it, it's like it's dragging in circles. You can really feel the magnetic flux. It's like heavy duty. So this is a serious magnet, and I would assume that if there's black sand to be taken, I'm taking it, and yet I'm not really pulling that much out, like relatively speaking. These are all concentrates. This is all full of like some sort of non-magnetic black sand. We have a look here. Low light's getting hard for the camera to see. There is a little bit of gold in here, but not a ton, right? I've been feeding it pretty quick. But yeah, I was considering, well, hey, if I can reduce the black sand load on my high banker, then I could, you know, get more out of it. And by what I'm pulling out of this, it's like, just to show you, it's, you know, that much black sand on it. And then I take one of these scoops here. It's like that much material. Whoops. Slowly feed this in. Maybe a little quicker for the camera. There we go. We'll let that run. So only that much black sand out of that scoop. So it is pulling some load out of this, but it's not as serious of a difference as I might have expected, to the point where I'm thinking of ways to set up some sort of a black sand magnet that sort of auto clears in the sluice, and I don't know if it's really going to be worth the effort in the field, because the recovery was so good with the black sand. Of course, the black sand builds up so much that it starts to get into the water flow. which is why in this case I have to manually clear it every 2 scoops. But anyways, that was, see if I can get this to work. I just thought that was kind of interesting. So as an experiment, I'm going to see how much black sand came out of all of these tubs of concentrate. And yeah, don't know if that would be super helpful in the field, but thought I'd experiment. I guess that's why they call it black sand. That is inky dark. I actually got a fair chunk of it out, but compared to those 2 big tubs, it's not that much. Now, this is running pretty hot because I just ran through everything in about 40 minutes that Chris and I ran through together in just over 3 hours this afternoon when we did the original cleanouts. So this is just cleaning tailings, so I ran through it pretty quick. So I'm going to start by shutting off the top sluice. A few specks of gold. Remember, I was feeding quick. There's definitely gold in this sluice. All the way down to the bottom edge here. So maybe it was worth running that again since it was such a rich run. But I think when you see what went into this, you're going to be like, yeah, that matting did a great job. So here's the second level. We got some gold in here, gold in there, gold there. Interesting, interesting. Now remember, I ran everything through in about 40 minutes. We were running real hot. And that was like the 2 of those combined were both maybe 3/4 to 2/3 of the way full. So to run that much concentrate in 40 minutes is huge. Yes, there's gold in level 3. Fair bit of gold in level 3. All the way down. All right. So basically, I would argue that, yeah, I just overfed the thing. I either need to get like some heavy-duty auto feeder or just have the patience. This was a total of 5 entire cleanouts of the sluice box. So if you say it takes about 20 minutes to half an hour to do a cleanup of an entire cleanout out in the field, considering I only ever do 1 cleanout per day, it's not too bad, right? You go on a 3-day trip, you come home, and 1.5 hours of this and you're done. Or maybe even quicker if it's 20 minutes to clean out. But for me to put 5 cleanouts through here in 40 minutes was pushing things a little bit. Anyways, I'm going to take all this, we're going to throw it into a little yogurt container, and then I'm actually going to pan this out and just using the snuffer bottle instead of the Miller table because it's a smaller amount of gold. I'm going to snuffer everything out and see if I can actually get a weight on this. What did we lose by weight? And then that'll be like the sneak peek of what did we actually capture in next week's video. I probably have about 80% of what was in there. There's a little bit of black sand in here. I spent like probably a little over an hour trying to get it all. Really need a Miller table to do it, but assuming that I've got the majority in there, it's 0.19 grams. So even if it's 0.2 losses, or 0.25 losses, once it's like done on the Miller table in total, I'd say that's really, really good. Because if it's 0.25 and I have 25 grams, I believe that would be 1% loss. It looks like, oh, wow, that's some gold, but honestly, for the effort of running everything a second time, just as $1 an hour type ratio, I'd almost argue that machine is good to go. Okay, so this is 0.18 grams. If this was actually everything in the tailings, and we wound up getting, in all of these, which are yet to be run through the Miller table, if we wound up getting 1 ounce of gold, 31 grams, I think this works out to being 0.58 of a percentage, which means that we would be at a 99.4% capture rate. And even if this turns out to be, 0.2 grams or something like that, that is still anything, in a 99 point something percentage means that that cleanup sluice with the, zigzag zig thing that's plenty good by my standards. I probably spent at least an hour trying to pan this stuff out. It's just super frustrating, and there's probably another 20%, you know, left. I've kept it in here. I'll throw it through the miller table. When the miller table is set up, I can run each one of these. In the future, you go out to the river and you basically just get a bunch of concentrates, come home, run them all through that machine in one run at the appropriate pace, which is probably about 25 minutes per clean out. So hopper, this little thing that I've started calling gold fingers because there's these little fingers of miner's moss in there, and the main sluice double level. Each time you do that, it's about 9.3 kilograms was our average for this trip. And so to run those 9.3 kilograms through the cleanup sluice, yeah, probably half an hour to be safe, 20 minutes if you're running a bit quick. And then, yeah, you do one cleanup a day. So if you're out for 3 days, then, you know, between an hour to an hour and a half on the cleanup sluice, and you would get one tiny little jar. I think I'm coming down with a cold or something here. But yeah, so this is the amount you get. So this is what we found in the gold fingers. And if I point this in there, I mean, I've seen rich concentrates before. These are rich. Very, very rich. So rather than doing them all separately like that, so I've got the hopper, gold fingers, the actual main run, and then this is just an entire cleanup of all three of those from day 4 and one from day 5. So I wanted to kind of see, what did we find in this spot? What did we find in that spot? What's the difference between the hopper moss, the gold fingers, and the main sluice? But if you weren't doing that, you would wind up with basically just one of these, and then you could run that through the miller table, and your cleanup is just done. Even though you come home with, like, you know, close to 10 kilograms of concentrates per day. Recovery rates out there were looking really, really good. So, you know, I think we were about 2 hours in or 4 hours in. I did a couple different tests, and I just shoveled 10 shovels. On the last shovel, put the bucket in to capture everything in that shovel, let it sit for 2 minutes, let it sit for 5 minutes. So it's like, if you included everything that was in that shovel and everything that filtered out, it was really, really good, the recovery rates. So super happy with that mat. Obviously coming home with less concentrates would be cool if the VDR matting we were using in this cleanup sluice, if that works in the field, if it handles the surging, if it handles being run empty, if it handles all those real world situations that the miner's moss can handle, then it would be a great, you know, step up, and it would be worth using. So that would be cool to try. But yeah, for now, we're going to leave you with, I guess the scale's turned off here, but, you know, 0.18, 0.2 of a gram. This is everything that triple level sluice lost from processing all of these, and I'm predicting over 1 ounce. How much over, I don't know. Anyways, if this becomes a video, maybe it'll be a little teaser video. Maybe I'll throw it out a little before Thursday, but it's just a matter of sort of what I can muster editing wise, because, you know, I've been out in the field for the last 5 days and I'm still very tired. Yeah, that's exciting. Like, I don't think I will have ever seen this much gold come home from one of these trips before. Obviously I had a friend helping, so, you know, there's a percentage deal there, but it's going to be good. So yeah, till next time, cheers and thanks for watching.